the Rambler Network.
Step right up, ladies and gents, a show for the ages, a spectacle of silent silver. Gather around, folks, don't be shy. A real humdinger of a picture awaits. Thrills, chills, and plenty of laughs. From the golden days of flickering reels and grand Nickelodeons comes a program most extraordinary. A real corker of a show, a top-notch talkie about a world with no talk at all. It's Casablanca Silent Treatment. So, there are movie stunts, and then there are Buster Keaton stunts. You know the one scene. A 2-story house collapses, and somehow, impossibly, he's standing in the exact right spot as a window frame drops around him like fate itself. No CGI or green screen, not even a stunt double. Just a guy and a margin of error of literally inches. Today we are talking about 1928's Steamboat Bill Jr., starring Buster Keaton. And wow, this might be one of the funniest films of the season thus far. But also one of the saddest. And I don't mean the movie itself, I mean what was happening behind the camera. So, going into this one, I knew the stunt. Even if someone has never seen a silent movie in their life, there's a very good chance they've seen that shot. The falling house front. It's one of the most iconic and most parodied images in film history. But what I didn't realize was how funny the rest of the movie would be. Steamboat Bill Jr. opens almost like a family comedy. Buster plays Willie Canfield Jr., a college kid returning home to meet his father, a rough-and-tumble steamboat captain he hasn't seen in years. And his father is expecting basically a mini version of himself. Instead, off the train steps Buster, wearing a beret, carrying a ukulele, and sporting a tiny mustache, looking like he wandered out of a poetry club. And his dad just completely dies inside. And honestly, I was dying laughing. The disappointment on his face says everything. No dialogue needed. That's silent cinema at its best. And then, the hat scene. I had to pause because I was laughing too hard. His dad drags him into his shop and keeps putting different hats on him, trying to make him look manlier, whatever that means. And every single hat somehow makes Buster look like an entirely different person. Critics still point to that scene as one of the film's sharpest examples of character comedy. And Buster, without changing that stone face, somehow changes his entire personality with each one. That's what made him special. The story here is surprisingly sweet. Because underneath all of the comedy, this is really about a son trying to earn his father's respect. And on top of that, there's a little Romeo and Juliet romance. Because, of course, Buster falls for the daughter of his father's business rival. So now he's juggling family pressure, romance, and trying not to embarrass himself every 5 minutes, which, being Buster Keaton, he absolutely does, repeatedly. But then the movie shifts, and suddenly it becomes something else entirely. A cyclone hits the town, and what follows honestly might be one of the greatest stunt sequences ever filmed. Buildings are collapsing, trees flying everywhere, people literally being blown across the street, and Buster is just walking through it, like the universe personally hates him. And then, that moment. The house facade falls around him, a real 2-ton set dropped for real, and Keaton survived only because he hit the exact mark under the open window. Even being off by a couple inches would have been catastrophic. And here's the crazy part, that wasn't trick photography, that was really happening, and you can feel it. Even nearly a century later, your body tenses, because some part of your brain knows that's real danger. And that's what makes it timeless. But here's where it gets a little heavy, because Steamboat Bill wasn't just another Buster Keaton comedy. This was the end of an era. It was the final film made by Keaton's independent production team before he lost creative control and moved into the studio system. And if you know Buster's story, you know what comes next. MGM. Studio interference. Less creative freedom, and eventually one of the greatest comedic filmmakers in history being told how to be funny. And that's heartbreaking. Because watching Steamboat Bill Jr., you're watching a master at the end of his golden age. And instead of going out quietly, he literally has an entire town collapse around him. That feels very Buster Keaton. So what do I think? Honestly, I love this. I came in expecting one famous stunt. What I got was one of the funniest films of the season thus far, and a surprisingly emotional father-son story. And if the General showed what Buster Keaton can do with scale, Steamboat Bill Jr. showed what he can do with chaos. And cut! Step right up, folks. Don't let the show end here. If you enjoyed tonight's picture, there's plenty more waiting just beyond the curtain. Follow the show on Instagram at Rambler Network. And for even more stories that spark curiosity, step right this way to RamblerNetwork.com, your one-stop destination for all things Rambler Network. So don't be a stranger and miss the next attraction, because the show is always just getting started.
The Rambler Network.